coming. They're coming. And as usual, we're not quite ready. There it is. The first pine borer beetle of the season. And yes, they're just as dumb as they were last year. Look at this dingling. Garage doors are happening today, guys. Super exciting. Hold on, take one last look at the garage because this evening it's not going to look the same. It's a little scary because we had to make decisions months ago, almost a year ago, about the doors and the door opening sizes and all that stuff. And here we are, the SIPs are installed and we've been working hard to get ready for this day, to dry the garage in, to make it secure. And now we find out if all those decisions were good or bad. Of course, these folks came by the other day, took a look at everything and said, looking pretty good. A couple of things we have to do. I'm kind of waiting for them to get the rails installed so that I can make the least possible modification to our sill plates. That's one of those little things that kind of got overlooked in the design. It's not a big deal. And hopefully that installation will go smooth. Oh yeah, door does fit, but yet we need room. So you haven't even got the rail in there yet on that one. Right. And that's why it's not fitting yet. Yeah. Okay, so why don't I give you a 1/2 inch on both sides?
That'd be fabulous, yeah.
Okay, I think that'll work good. All right, Mark says that's looking good, so we'll go ahead and do that to each of the garage sills where the doors come down. So that rail is going to come right down through here, and we need room for the door and the rail to come down to the concrete. I think we're supposed to be a little bit hotter today than we were yesterday, and if you remember yesterday's video, I think we hit 93. But the good news is we're working in the garage today, and it's actually quite a bit cooler. The sad thing is, right where the garage doors are, it's right in the sun. Part of the challenge on these, the smaller door, the 8-foot door sill plate, is that this fastener is closer to the edge because this little piece of sill plate is quite a bit smaller, and in order to get any amount of fastening, we had to spread the fasteners out. So it's going to be tight in here, but it's actually worse over here. We've only got about 1 inch of material here. That project is done.
We studied different homes that were inspiring to us and fell in love with the idea of a stone-covered basement with natural-looking garage doors. We opted for steel, wood grain, with the highest R value possible. We chose carriage-style doors with the little hinges, as it's just the kind of personality we want our home to have. Windows were a must to let in natural light, and while we could have gotten quite exotic with style, we chose to keep it simple with squares, instead of trying to get artsy and risk doing it wrong. Picking garage doors is a little scary when your exterior materials aren't set in stone, but we feel we made a safe decision that we'll be happy with years down the road. Seeing it in the flesh only reinforces that decision.
Looking good, eh? Nice work, love. Picked a good looking door. too tall. So I just got done installing this 2x material. We're going to use it like as faux trim, just so they can flush the door up and install the weather stripping, which will help to keep the garage wind tight so that we don't have wind blowing past here. Of course, at some later date, we'll actually install real trim and finish the garage door or garage openings. But for now, this will help keep us tidy. So here's the scoop, guys, on Alyssa and I. Roughly, we put in, what is 12 times 7? Let's call it 85 hours last week. That's on top of the time that we put in for the last 2+ months, getting the house SIP ready and then doing the SIPs. Suffice it to say, we are very tired. And I think what's probably the hardest part about the last week is that we had wonderful people come to help us, which we are very thankful for. But there's always kind of external factors that play into how the build goes. And probably one of the hardest things about this build at times is the timeline. It's the feeling that you should be at a certain spot, but you're not. And deadlines for us are very self-imposed. A lot of them are weather-driven deadlines. And because we've started the roof, we're at a point of kind of no return where we can't really stop. We've got to push. Maybe we should have stopped before we started the roof. I don't know. SIPs hit the ground. We had a lot of extra hands here. We thought, let's do it. And in hindsight, maybe we should have rested. I think everybody was tired. We'd pushed really hard to get to the roof. And then we're kind of out of steam once the roof started. And then it was already hot, and the really high heat came. It takes it out of you. I can't even tell you. There's no words to explain the feeling at about 3:30 in the afternoon when your brain is done. Your body is screaming at you, screaming, shut down, stop, go find shade. And 2 work days in a row, I personally reached that point where I could not drink anymore. I could not consume any more liquids. I'm full, and yet you're still thirsty. Of course, once the shade comes in, around 5:30, energy starts picking back up, but it's a little late. There's nothing you can really do. You're kind of just shot. So last night after the video and after work, we just shut down. And so today, we were thinking about bringing the crane over. We decided not to. We decided to just focus on the garage doors, make ourselves available to these folks, make sure that everything they need is taken care of. We knew there was some stuff they were wanting us to do. And we're also getting behind on life. We literally have not taken a moment to breathe. I feel like I haven't even seen Alyssa in 10 days. The roof has taken it out of us. It's a whole different level of difficulty than the walls. We're working very high on the ladders. We don't have much force. We've been slowly refining a method of using ratchet straps to kind of pull and push a panel and then to lock it into place and use gravity. And like so many of these projects, the first few days are just a huge, huge waste of time. It seems like we don't achieve anything. Family was willing to stay to help, but Alyssa and I feel like, we're tired. We need to rest. In fact, right now I could go take a nap. I'm just done. And then we need to spend some time getting these panels prepared. I think Alyssa and I agree that we've got to try something a little different. We thought because we had so many people here that we would have the crane come and that we would kind of just, be barely ahead, maybe a little behind of the crane, and it turned out that we were just miles behind. It is what it is. We can't change it, but it's, we're paying to learn. So we've been learning a few tricks along the way, and up at that height, one of the things that we thought would help make our life just exponentially different and easier than the walls on the roof was the collated screw gun. Yesterday alone, we put in just under 3,000 screws. Thing is, you can really only put screws all the way in. A lot of the wall stuff, you guys know, we put them in, we started them, but we didn't actually put them all the way in. Part of the reason was we wanted these splines to be loose, so they're kind of manipulatable. That way, when you're starting to put the panels together, they've got a little shimmy and a little give, and they go together well. Well, with the collated screw gun, we can't really do that. And because of productivity, we want to use a collated screw gun. In trying to put these panels together, you wouldn't believe it, but with this really square edge here, all it takes is like a 1/16 of an inch or even less to be catching on the next panel, and the panels will not go together. No matter how much you shimmy, shake, crane, lift, we even had the crane just drop a panel, like just let it fall. No go. Incredible. So we kind of came up with the conclusion, or came up with the idea, that if that's what's preventing the panels from sliding together, maybe we ought to bevel the splines. And we were using the belt sander to do this, but I just tried using the Makita circular saw to do it, and it's much faster. That bevel should help those panels come together much easier. What's deceptive about yesterday is that we did a lot of the prep in steps, in orders. So instead of doing one panel completely, we did all of one step on every panel. So it feels like we didn't get very much done yesterday, but really I think we're within a couple of steps of being done on all of these panels, but only half the roof, right? We still have to sort, and Alyssa still has to hot knife another 16 panels. So while those gentlemen are knocking out those garage doors, I think they're doing a fantastic job. They look amazing. Alyssa just got a video uploaded for you guys. It's the first one in 10 days. That's how little energy we have had. We haven't even touched it. I'm gonna knock out some of the SIP panel prep. Alyssa's gonna run to town, and then maybe her and I can actually spend a little time together getting these roof panels prepared.
And you swing a door around like that, and then
Here's a smoothie for you.
Oh my God, is it cold?
Ooh, yeah.
Oh,
Banana,
does it have
raspberry,
bananas?
and chocolate chips, only because it's so hot in there that they're melting. So I decided to save them from themselves.
Thank you. Wow.
Sorry you're suffering.
Oh, it's okay. It's moving slow. This is the worst part of the
Yeah.
day for sure.
It's warm in there too, so glad I got video done early.
Yeah, it's hotter and hot.
Oh, you're so dirty.
Wow.
It's pretty good. Nailed
Wow.
it. See you soon, love. Give you an air hug.
Yeah, I wouldn't hug me, man. I'm filth bucket. All right, they're all done. We have to wait to do the openers. Yeah, the openers. Till later, probably after we get the electrical in and probably after we get sheetrock done. So, but at least we've got functioning doors. We don't have to worry about openers for a while. Thanks guys for the help. Really appreciate it. Doors look fantastic. I cannot even tell you how much of a relief it is that the doors fit. Something that's just been mind-boggling for us is learning how standard things are dimensioned. So garage doors are actual size. That is a 16 by 9 R16 insulated garage door. It's actually 16 by 9. None of our windows and none of our French doors are actual size. They are maddening. And that guy is an 8 wide by 9 high R16 garage door. Actual size. Well, it turns out, I'll just show you. Come on, let's take a look. Well, if it's actually 8 feet, then what's with that gap right there? So it turns out this door is fitting a little bit more loose than its bigger brother over there. So while the garage door guys were here, I got all of the splines cut with a 45-degree bevel. Something that we have been using that's working really good is a small cleat to hold the sheetrock up, so that basically one person can install sheetrock on these panels. Let me back up. One of the reasons that we have to put the screws in the splines on the inside all the way is because this area gets completely covered in sheetrock. If you think about this for just a second, this spline is going into another panel, but there's no screws in that panel because it's covered with sheetrock. So in theory, we could go back later from the inside, and Shelter advised we could do this, and put screws through the sheetrock into those interior splines. Do we need the interior splines? Not really. They're kind of redundant, but we're thinking it's a little bit more work and you get that much more rigidity out of your roof. The outside splines, on the other hand, we could be more loosey-goosey with them. In fact, it seems to be kind of a method where instead of fastening the outside splines, you simply put them in and then you just slip them in. And then later when you're going back on the roof, you actually fasten those splines in. So we aren't doing that. We're fastening these splines down. Uh-oh, Speak of the devil. Hello. I would probably get the 5-quart 530 because we need to actually change the oil in the generator really bad. So perfect. We'll see you soon. Cool. Alyssa has to grab oil for the generator. We're way behind on our oil change. It's just been one of those things. We could leave those splines sitting in there, but there's one problem with that thought, and that is that if the spline falls too deeply into this groove, it's not going to stick up very far on the adjacent panel. I think there's just too much technicality here, and I think that the reality of this is that most homes are not built quite the way people think they are, and we're trying to achieve those ideals. And quite frankly, it's really, really hard to do. I just noticed something on this panel. So this is a sheet of OSB. There's a little tiny strip of OSB right here. And then another piece, and another piece. I don't know what to think about that. Part of what makes these SIP panels so unique is that they're one continuous piece of OSB. So this is like 4 pieces of OSB. I don't know. I mean, it's laminated together, right? So in theory, it's okay. I don't know why I see these things. And I don't know if you guys remember, but the top of these wall panels, I don't know how they're made, but they scabbed on at the top the bevel. So Brian jumped up on one of the panels and boom, snapped it off. Does that tell you how strong that is? Makes you wonder, doesn't it? Yesterday, some of the prep work that we got done was getting these splines installed, putting this foam chase in here, and then these foaming holes were drilled up into here so that later we can go back and shoot foam into those holes. And then Alyssa hot knifed the 3-inch inlet on the edges of these panels and also on the eave edge. This is the rake. So now sheetrock on this side and timber lags on this side. Guys, I just hot wired my first Bobcat. Something's fishy, like the Bobcat doesn't want to run, and so I just spent a few minutes on the phone with Justin and we got it to run good. So we're gonna get some work done tonight and then he's gonna swing by tomorrow and see if we can figure it out. It's kind of a phantom ground issue. I'm kind of seeing that equipment's just this way. You have to have like a little bit of mechanic time for every couple of hours of runtime, especially when it's used. Anyway, we've got it running. Hopefully we'll get this sheetrock moved and then we finally can do some panel prep. That's a sunburn. This sheetrock was sitting out on its back for one day and there was sheetrock sitting on top of it. So we picked up these screws from our local hardware store. They did have to special order them, but they're a very universal collated screw, so they work with a lot of the common big brands. And I have to say that these have been working really good. I'm a little bit surprised kind of how they're packaged. Usually they come in a coil type package, but that said, these are a coarse drywall screw, so each strip of screws is 50. And I can't really remember, I haven't paid much attention to how many screws is in one of our sheets of sheetrock, but I think we were using about 3 strips per panel. When I first started setting the screws on the sheetrock, they were basically flush with the paper. And I know from sheetrocking that you want them basically just below the surface so you can basically run mud right over the top of that and you don't have to do any kind of floating or anything around it. Well, probably 3 or 4 sheets in, I bumped the indent or the countersinking up a notch, and I am really happy with that. So I finally had a jam. One out of every 250 screws. And the result is the screw doesn't go in all the way. So I've got to grab an impact and just finish that screw. So the total time to put in around 200 screws in these panels is about 3 minutes. You might be thinking to yourself, doesn't sheetrock go there? The answer is no. This is actually the overhang on our frame. So our frame stops here. We have a SIP wall here. This gap between the wall and the roof will get foamed, and then from here out is where it overhangs the roof.
Dude,
Look at that.
like dude. It looks so amazing.
That's our house. Come look. Come touch.
Wow, that's crazy. Can we go Mandor shopping soon?
Yeah, but I think we should get the roof on
Dude,
first.
freaking sweet. Oh my gosh, this is our house? Are you happy we didn't do it?
Yeah. I have plenty to do on my plate. Actually, just getting them what they needed kind of kept me busy, and then I was working on SIPs, which are just as important. So
I can't say what the feeling is this is really the first time I've been over here all day, so I spent the morning editing video, and then I spent probably 4 hours in town. Our P.O. box was so stuffed that we had a memo, like, we can't put any more. Please come to the counter and get the rest of your mail. Got milk, went to the dump, got Gatorade, did laundry, went to storage, went to the store, went to the car wash.
and you come home and there's garage doors. Yeah, so no, they did a fantastic job. They just knew the ins and outs. Of course, typical of professionals, that's all they do. Those folks don't even install windows. They just install garage doors. So it's got a lock. Yes, you can open it. It is spring loaded, obviously, because you wouldn't be able to lift it if it wasn't. But if you open it, you cannot just like let it fly up because it's basically set for the opener. The tension is.
In theory, our RV is gonna fit through this one. But we measured.
It's 8 feet wide.
We took measurements.
9 feet tall. These doors just turned out fantastic. Super happy. And are they quiet? Oh yeah.
Wow.
They're really quiet. Oh yeah. So standard garage doors are only 7 feet.
Really? So we're 2 feet
Yeah.
over the standard?
2 feet.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. So we need to talk about whether to have Trevor come tomorrow.
Okay.
I guess we should do dinner.
We should talk about that over dinner.
And I should shower because I'm a pig.
Yep.
And is the video live?
No, I need to get it live.
See? These people are waiting. We got to give it to them. See you hot and sticky in the morning.